I'm Siddharth Zarabi, and with me now at our Davos studio is Vaishali Nigam Sinha, the co-founder and chair of sustainability at Renew. Welcome, Vaishali. We've been talking to a host of industry captains, and one of the key things that seems to be emerging is what's happening in the United States and perhaps a realignment, a significant realignment on certain policies of the administration there, particularly with regard to, for example, the electric vehicle ecosystem and associated areas. Do you think that this is a significant even concern that seems to be emerging amongst all other challenges?
Yeah, hi, Siddharth. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here in warmer Davos. And I remember last time we were freezing and not as much. I was planning to come without my jacket. So, yeah. So, no, listen, I think Davos has started interestingly with the swearing in the United States, and of course all the executive orders have got people a little bit concerned, and everybody's walking around the promenade pretending like, okay, fine, this doesn't really scare us, and the world is going to continue as it did. After all, it's not Trump's first term. He was there in 2016, and at that time the whole sort of climate change momentum continued globally. That is point number one. So second time around, it will, is my personal belief. I do feel that if you have a leader in this sense, I would say from my perspective, given that I work in climate, it's not positive, it's negative. You need followers to make a leader. And if people determine, if corporates determine, even outside the United States, not to follow and continue with their net zero goals and strategies and decarbonization plans, and it's an opportunity for people to take leadership. After all, India took leadership when China happened. China's had the worst year last year. And that happened because of their sort of human rights issue, some inflection point. Here it's an election, there it was human rights and the supply chain issue. And so there were opportunities for others like India and other countries in Southeast Asia to take lead and economically benefit from this. So I am not as skeptical, and I don't want to over sort of emphasize or give importance to that. But yes, we need to be mindful. It's a challenge, and I think we should all come together to march ahead together. So I have that sort of perspective on this.
Vaishali, since you spoke about this space, India's ambitions in clean energy, going forward, and like you said, the world can do what it is doing, we have to double down on our own efforts. Going forward, how do you see the clean energy effort evolving across industry, many large conglomerates, individual companies, your company itself a leader in this space? How do you see the clean energy effort panning out?
In India?
Yep.
I want to say, Siddharth, we must be really proud of what India has done in our sector. If I look at 2000 to 2010, we had about $2 billion of FDI coming into this sector. If I look at the last 15 years, the number is touching about $13-14 billion. Right? The cost of renewables is a sixth. The amount of funds coming in is 6 times. That shows to you, in addition to that, the enabling policies, whether it is the PLI schemes, whether it is, the green hydrogen, whether it is the continuous enabling environment. I think we've set ambitious targets, and we have really achieved a lot. There's a lot of private equity capital coming in to fund not only traditional renewables, but also new sort of areas for, sequestration and various other new technologies. We've seen, green hydro and so on and so forth coming in. So there is an opportunity for us to really go double down on what we need to do, because our ambitions are to, so we set up a capacity of about 15-20 gigawatts year on year over the last few years. Going forward, we're going to be setting 50 gigawatts of capacity to meet our 2030 goals of 500 gigawatts. With that comes opportunity on all fronts, on infra enablement, on people-related matters, on innovation, and on just, kind of feeding into the decarbonization map for our country. So there is an opportunity for FMCG companies, because the expectations from regulators still will be for them to meet their goals, to meet their net zero goals. So everybody has to buy more clean energy. Everybody has to ensure that they are decarbonizing their supply chain. So a lot of work has to be done. And I don't see any reason, and we've done a lot. We are now, as a country, we've crossed 200 gigawatts, which is not an insignificant amount as far as our milestone is concerned. We have used more than our target for 2030 with respect of non-fossil sort of fuel generated electricity is concerned. We've already crossed, we're at, I think, 46%. Our target was 50% by 2030. So I think on all fronts, we are taking the right step from the policy, private sector, capital, deployment on the ground. And also moving, the big shift, Siddharth, has been that in 2014 we started with an institutional sort of engagement and push for the sector. But now with the Prime Minister's announcement in the last budget with the Surya Ghar actually in the middle of the year, so we have now at an individual level, there is more opportunity for people to go green. And I think that consumer-led growth in our sector is going to be very important, where individuals drive adaptation of, adopt renewables to help us sort of, kind of tap into this huge opportunity of dispersed renewables as well. So I think that with the largest grid our country has, and this opportunity, both the things combined, I just see an opportunity to scale. So I am optimistic. I think I sound super optimistic, but I
good to be optimistic.
Yeah.
Since you've been optimistic and spoke about opportunities, one final point, and this is the challenges in the green hydrogen space. Several companies have been working on this. Once spoken to several companies. What are the key challenges as far as green hydrogen are concerned in the Indian context?
Sure. See, green hydrogen started with a bang, if I could put it that way, right? We had a great, again, very swift action by our government. So check, right? A lot of private sector players jumped in with their strategies, including Renew, with, the tripartite partnership with IOC, ONGC, and Renew. So all good. However, you do need a couple of things. One is off-takers, right, for green hydrogen. I think that demand hasn't sort of built up as much as we had expected. Also, the cost of electrolyzers and all of that hasn't picked, it's still very high. So, of course, I feel that it's not on that trajectory, which we'd expected about a couple of years ago. It's a wait and watch kind of a strategy as to how we can get more commitment, more off-takers aligned. And it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation with respect to, how you can marry that with the cost of electrolyzers and ability to be able to sell this. And so generation is not that difficult, it's easy. But will people buy? Are they ready to buy? And so that is something we are sort of watching patiently. So I wouldn't say not optimistic, but waiting and watching there.
And that's true of many such frontier initiatives in some ways. We start off with a certain set of assumptions and then the markets respond differently. Vaishali, thank you very much for your time with us today to talk about some of these issues in the overall clean energy space. Very clearly, a net zero emission future for India will benefit every single Indian, and I thank you for your time with us today. With that, it's a wrap. We'll come back with more. Do stay tuned in. Hello and welcome to Business Today. I'm Siddharth Zarabi, and with me here at our studios